What is up, my button mashers? It is me once again, Nateslegend. I am back. We are back, Jay. We're joined once again by Jay Moore. How are you today, Jay?
Hey man, what can I say? It's always good to be here. Tis the season for a podcast and a show. Why not? I'm not doing nothing, so I might as well just jump on here and be your co-host.
Absolutely, let's roll. We'll get you on here, and I think today we're going to be talking Ghost of Tsushima.
I believe so. Yeah.
Plan, yeah. But what have you been playing in the meantime? I mean, we're online. What have you played this week?
Last time you saw me, well, since last week, I was playing Destiny. I'm still kind of in between Destiny, but I just started playing a little bit more Call of Duty. I've been mostly on Modern Warfare for Warzone, but now that they integrated last week and they actually have a free week or free couple of days for Cold War, I downloaded the Cold War multiplayer. And all the guns and all of my stats all kind of like transferred in. So I've been I did that like earlier today, and I'm probably going to be on for the rest of the night until I can get my level high enough to get some guns. So yeah, that's
beautiful.
what I'm working on.
Hey, that integration I think was big. I know some people have complaints about it, but I think that it was massive, and just the two companies working together. Great choice. I have. Good choice to play. I mean, if you're gonna spend some time, may as well spend some time on Call of Duty.
Well, here's the thing: the game itself, I mean, just like any other game, is broken. Okay, like the Mac 10, or it's done. You know what I mean? Like it is completely over. You get that first shot off, you're winning your gunfight. Period. It's better than the what is it? The AS Val or the Fennec, or you know what I mean? In Modern Warfare, so it's quick, man. It is quick, and it gets you so frustrated to the point where you're just like, you know what? I'm done with this game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just done. But you can't leave because this shit is addicting. That's how bad it is. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just like, you know what? I have to stick with it.
Have to just deal with it and suck it up a little bit.
And it's just as bad with Destiny. Like, you get a certain gun with certain perks. And then you're just like, I'm done with this game. And then you're just like,
no,
I can't leave it.
I can't leave it.
Yeah.
Adjust this just a little bit here. There we go. All right. Okay. So, all right. Before we started, asked you another question. It seems to be the ongoing theme here. Ask a question at the beginning. So, my question to you. What game do you feel had the biggest hype to failure ratio? And what I mean by that is you have those games, Anthem, No Man's Sky, all these games that had lots of hype around them, but they failed miserably. They were terrible games, terrible, whatever it may be. Which game do you think had the biggest hype to failure actual ratio? Not necessarily what failed the most, but what failed compared to its hype level.
Okay, there's two. Okay, now I at first I gave you one because we already know what that one's going to be, and that would be Cyberpunk 2077. But the second one, for me personally, even though I loved the game, but not a lot of people did, was Batman Arkham Origins.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from with that.
I thoroughly enjoyed Origins on PS3. I wish they made a remaster of that game for PS4 so that you can play it on PS4 instead of playing the PS Now or the downloadable one or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work the same. It feels
exactly. It feels like there's something off. And regardless of whatever you think about, what you think about Batman Arkham Origins, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. And believe it or not, I consider that to be a Christmas game, especially since it was kind of dropped at Christmas.
Right. So here's what I was planning to do today. Today was going to be a Christmas themed episode. I'm like, all right, what game can we do that is a Christmas themed game that's not a Christmas game, like Go Chase Santa Claus? Like, it just dropped during Christmas. And so I'm thinking, okay, lots of games drop at Christmas, but there's really only a couple that take place during Christmas. And if I'm honest with you, Arkham Origins is my least favorite Arkham game. I just not okay. It's a fine standalone game, but
Right.
it pretends to be a part of the trilogy, and it's very clearly not. And it feels off to me. So it's hard to say. Let's do a whole
it's a big
episode on it.
toss-up.
Like
Right.
we want to sit down and talk.
It's not a whole episode worth, to be honest.
Well, it will.
It's half an episode
with the Arkham games. We have some plans with them, so
right. And like I said, I did thoroughly enjoy the game, but it is on the bottom of the game list when it comes to the Arkham series.
I definitely feel like it belongs on the list. Definitely a great choice there. Cyberpunk 2077 is on my list.
Yep.
You put, it's on your list. When it comes down to it, you built this hype by pushing it back so much. It really is unfortunate that it has to come down to being removed from PlayStation Store and all of that other fun stuff. It really is disappointing that it even came down to that.
Right.
But I'm gonna put actually on my list though, Black Ops 4.
Yes,
probably on my list.
You know what? I can't agree with you more on that. And I wound up getting it for free this year because of PlayStation Plus and the whole free giveaway and stuff like that. But I totally agree with that sentiment. Horrible.
It's
just bad.
It wasn't what we wanted it to be, and we all wanted just the continuation of the story. We ultimately got the continuation of the story. That's great.
Yeah, with Modern Warfare.
How can you say that you're fourth in a line when you're not a game? Like you are, but like you're not. Right. Yeah, I would say that's definitely top of my list.
And it does bring up the question: where the hell does Black Ops Cold War come in? You know what I mean? Like, where does that fit within Black Ops 4? You know what I mean? Like, like where? Tell me. I would like to know.
It is what it is.
Right. And you know what? Going back to Cyberpunk real quick. Since the last time since I was on the show last, I actually did get a chance to play it over the weekend.
Good. What'd you think?
At a friend's house, and I had to stop.
That buggy?
What
were you playing on?
I was playing on the PS4 integration of the game. Very, very buggy. There was you could definitely tell that there was something that was really off on it because my friend just wanted to play it just to get the storyline done, do the extra stuff later. But if and what I'm hearing from the consensus of everybody, which is why I wanted to go and play it anyway, was that if you played through it just for the storyline and did most of the stuff for the storyline, it should be fine. But if you're doing all the side quests, the side missions, now there's this thing with the memory byte and stuff like that. The megabits, you can only use 8 gigs, and then after that 8 gigs is done, then the whole save file is crashed. You know what I mean? Like,
weird.
There is so many issues, and the source where I got that from is Young, and I think he got that off of Kotaku. So shout out to Young if you're watching. I sent him a link to this video. Yes, I do give credit where credit is due, and I have to have references because, as game enthusiasts, we want to make sure that we get our information correct. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely appreciate the insight. I mean, that's really the biggest thing, is getting just a little bit of insight into what the game actually feels like. I haven't had a chance. I mean, ultimately comes down to cost, but with all the bugs going on, it's not worth the cost is really the reason. Yeah, let's move on though. Let's go ahead and focus on news for just a few moments. Just a few small tidbits. Games with Gold, they announced a little bit early today, or not earlier today. Excuse me. They released it early. We are looking at Little Nightmares, Dead Rising, King of Fighters 13, and Breakdown as your 4 games. I'm really excited for Little Nightmares. What are your thoughts there, though? Based off the games, what are your thoughts?
What was the third game you mentioned? I thought I heard
King of Fighters 13.
King of Fighters 13.
It's an Xbox 360 game.
I was about
Breakdown
to say,
is
I haven't heard
the
of that
Xbox
game.
original game.
I haven't heard of that game in such a long time, but it reminds me.
I've never heard of it. I mean, there's 13 of them, and I still haven't heard of it.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of one of my wife's favorite games. It's like Streets of Rage in a sense, but for more of like Xbox. And I'm actually kind of happy to hear that Xbox got that thing going. You know what I mean? Like for Game Pass and Gold and stuff like that. I am a little on the fence, and I'll be honest with you because I don't play much Xbox, and I don't look at the Xbox menu whenever I'm in, because like we use our Xbox to watch TV in the room. You know what I mean?
About right.
And then the PlayStation's out here for my gaming pleasure, and then the smart TV, of course, in the living room, so the wife doesn't have to use the PlayStation. But I'm a little bit torn, and I think that, and here's the reason why I'm torn between Xbox and PlayStation. PlayStation seems to do things right, but then when you go to do the activity or whatever they want you to do, it's an epic fail, like the communication system with the PlayStation. As in Xbox, you don't have that issue. You see your friend online, or you know what I'm saying, you can jump in a party with them. And I think that works for Windows as well. I'm not quite sure for those who play PC and stuff like that. But
we have options.
Yeah, you have options. As in now, since the place before, like maybe 2 weeks before PS5 dropped, PlayStation came out with this thing where they dropped the communication line, and they said that you can be recorded. Not a lot of people are on the chat now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, if you can avoid things like that, like why would you want to have something like that? That seems weird.
Right. And then you have to add certain people to your chat. And then, like, if you look at my chat list, I have like maybe 2 or 3 of the same person going all the way down. It's like I have to sign out of some of these. You know what I mean? Like I literally have to sign out of some of these, and it's just a mess. But back to what we were talking about as far as the games, I think the games will be great. They're definitely going in the right direction, bringing 360 games able to play on Xbox Series X, Series S, 1S, and 1X. You know what I mean?
The full. I don't want to call it cross-platform, but the multi-generational options with the games is awesome.
And I honestly think that PlayStation should do something like that, but with some of the older titles like PlayStation 1's Jet Moto, or even Metal Gear Solid. You know what I mean? Like the first Metal Gear Solid that came out on PlayStation with Liquid Snake, or Def Jam Fight for New York on PS2. There are so many things and games that came out on PlayStation that you could be doing with those games. I understand that they have the modules and stuff that they have, the emulators, I'm sorry, that you have to go through for that, and that can be time consuming with the thousands and thousands and thousands of games. I get that, but Xbox seems to not have that issue. So if Xbox doesn't have that issue with games like what was the games that you mentioned, the Little Nightmares?
Yeah, Little Nightmares. Sorry, King of Fighters is from Xbox 360, and then Breakdown is from the Xbox OG.
See, exactly my point. So, you know what I'm saying? The only difference with the OG Xbox is, remember the Xbox controller had the white button and the black button? You won't have that white and black button, so they would have to substitute that with L3 and R3, or you know what I mean? Like,
kind of just modify it.
And that's one thing I give Xbox a lot of credit for, because if you remember in the first Halo, that white button was your flashlight. You know what I'm saying? Like that was your lifesaver.
I feel like they've kind of adjusted that into the D-pad a little bit better. It's kind of how they merged a lot of that, so it makes things really easy on that front. So if you keep that schematic, but yeah, I agree. The difference being PlayStation doesn't have that same, trying to think of the best term, modification to the controllers that Xbox has. I mean, with PlayStation, they've kept essentially the same controller. The PS5 is really the first time that you're getting a huge difference in look. Everything else they've tried to keep to that common feel. So I don't think it'd be that hard to transition some, if not all, of your games into multi-generational, and it is definitely something they're missing out. PlayStation Now is great for that. I gotta play I have the discs, but I gotta play God of War through there. It's great, but yeah, it feels delayed, it feels off or something, to the point where I would rather just get a remake. They did talk about doing a remake of God of War and ultimately decided to go with the new game.
The new game. Yeah,
which I'm not complaining about by any stretch of the imagination here, but it would be fun to see. Speaking of multi-generational, actually great segue. 343 has officially denied rumors that Halo Infinite will not be on the Xbox One. So great news there. Basically just confirming that isn't going anywhere. It's fully still in the cards. It's on the table. We're looking getting an Xbox One version of Halo Infinite. Couple of comments I want to make on Halo Infinite, though. They did say that the delay is going to be worth the wait.
Right.
All I have to say is it better be. Because at this point, we've had so many games that are delayed, and I know COVID is huge in this, and COVID is what's playing a major role in games getting delayed. But if you're going to delay it like you have, and you're going to say that the delay is worth the wait, make it worth the wait. Don't fuck this up, because at the end of the day, everyone else has, and you're getting an extra year, and that may not even be a COVID year. We're still going to have some repercussions, blah, 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 but it's not the COVID year. Don't fuck this up. That's my only
Exactly. I totally can definitely agree with you on that one. And big shout out to Chaz Campbell Evans. He's actually in the comment section. He does host a podcast over Underexposed. He's also a co-host for our friend Patrick, who is the producer of the show, Gaggle of Geeks. So make sure you go check out Over and Under Artist Exposed. At your earliest convenience, streaming on all podcast platforms.
Check out Gaggle of Geeks as well. Chaz being definitely a part of that. We make sure you're checking out all of the shows that we have available here at Gaggle of Geeks. We want to support y'all. So thanks for joining us, Chaz. Yes, Cyberpunk definitely is not an okay game right now.
No.
So you're saying you requested a refund. Did that go well? How exactly did the process go?
Actually, my friend actually did on PlayStation. He did request a refund for Cyberpunk, and within like maybe 2-3 hours, he got his money back. So.
Wow, so they're right on top of it.
Yeah, they are on top of it. And you know the crazy thing about it too, I was reading an article on Kotaku this morning, and they were saying that people who didn't want to get rid of the game because they were invested in this game, and they just wanted to wait for them to fix the bugs and stuff like that before they continued playing, wound up getting refunds regardless. And the game file completely being taken off their system.
So they're not even. I mean, when they say that they're pulling it, they're completely pulling it.
And that's just what I heard.
Physical disc should still work, though.
So the disc, the disc should still work. But those who downloaded it was taken off their system, and they were granted a full refund for their money from PlayStation.
So Chaz, you said you're still waiting on your refund. What? When did you put the request in? How long have you actually been waiting? So while we wait on that, last little bit of news here, because I know that I have people like the game. Fortnite Green Arrow is coming to Fortnite, and it sure looks like Stephen Amell to me. And
really,
I have no problem with that. Stephen Amell is
I haven't even seen that. And the crazy thing is, they just did a whole stint with DC with Aquaman, and then for some reason I'm looking at it and it kind of switched gears, and then they were doing everything Marvel. You know what I mean? Now Marvel's done.
Deal with Marvel. They did Marvel. They did The Mandalorian got a character.
Right.
They kind of bounced back and forth between the two, but the Aquaman one was specific to, if I recall correctly, the Aquaman released. The movie did. And then we had the whole Marvel season. I'm trying to remember.
Right.
I like watching people play Fortnite. I don't hate the game. I hate playing the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me to play that game, but I love watching it. The character, the things people can do, cranking 90s or whatever else. It's dope. It's so much fun to watch. Hate playing it. Will never touch that game ever again.
Here's my thing with this, though, and I totally agree with you 100%, but I don't watch a lot of Fortnite videos. But if I do, there's only maybe one person I'm watching, and that's Nick Merckx. But the funny part about that is I like watching more of the rage compilations of people getting frustrated than I do of actual seeing like people, and no disrespect to the Fortnite community, but I watch Ninja or whatever like that. I don't watch Ninja, and it's not that I want to watch Ninja, but I just don't have a reason to actually really want to watch it, other than to see people get frustrated or people like trash talk and troll and stuff like that. But getting back real quick before we segue into Fortnite a little bit more, Chaz said that he issued his refund when it first came out.
Yeah, got that put up on the screen there. When the news first hit. So some people it sounds like are getting it super quick, and others are delayed. I wonder if there's a difference between whether you requested it versus whether you didn't, or if it has to do with purchase date or what it is. But it's interesting that some are getting it so quickly and others when the news first hit, almost a week ago. I mean, I think we talked about that on the show that PlayStation had pulled it.
It was actually a week and a half ago.
A week and a half. So, I mean, we're talking interesting. That's really strange that
right. And Chaz, are you playing on Xbox or are you playing on PlayStation?
Oh, there's another valid question. Yeah. PlayStation, Xbox, what are you playing on? Segueing in here, moving on rather, we are looking at the our secondary topic here today, and it is none other than the Kentucky Fried Console.
Oh man, I cannot. The KF console is what they call it.
KF console. That is the
official name. I can't believe Cool Master signed up for something like this. Like, this doesn't even make any sense to me. I'm dead founded by this. I saw the news. I read the article. I also shout out to Tyrone Magnus because I watch him a lot on YouTube as well, another YouTuber. I saw him and I was just like, he couldn't believe it either. And trust me, there are a lot of racial things I want to say about this, but I'm not going to do it.
We'll keep this family appropriate for the time being here until we can get the green light from Patrick to take it further.
Why on God's green earth would you make a console that's right here where you can just throw chicken in? Here's the thing with me.
Why wouldn't you make that console? You asked the wrong question there. Why wouldn't you make that console?
Well, see, here's the thing with that. I mean, I could understand if it was like, say, like chicken nuggets, chicken strips, or whatever the case may be, or if you were like, is it a built-in air fryer or what? You know what I mean? Like,
so yeah, that's one of my questions with it.
That's my question, because I can't stand the smell of seasoned raw chicken next to me. Why would I want that in a console where I know I have to use computer based wise, like, is this a prank? What is this? Come to find out, this shit is actually really true. And here's my frustrations with that. You have all that grease. Where is all that? Where's your grease drip catch at? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So I was looking at some of the schematics of it, and it looks very air fryer-esque, where it has the kind of portion to hold the chicken, and then it drips down in, right? And then it has another bucket. So very much like an air fryer is kind of what it looked like, based off what I saw. And I'm hoping that it's not an air fryer though. What I think is going to end up happening is I think it's going to be more of just a warmer. I wouldn't want to fry chicken. I think it's just going to take the heat from the CPU, everything else, pump it straight in, just let it warm the heater or warm the chicken up.
Right. Comment from my friend Anthony, and shout out to my boy Anthony. He says there as well. The controller better have texture grip because that chicken is finger looking good.
That's great. Wonderful. Great call.
I love you, man. Thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it, brother.
So let's talk about this console though. So specs that we know about. We are looking. It has an Intel NUC Nuke. I don't know how you say it. NUC 9 Extreme Compute Element. They haven't officially announced what the CPU is going to be. They have an unknown Asus RTX graphics card in it that is VR ready. It has ray tracing. It is 4K capable and capable of 240 frames per second. This thing is a beast.
Right, but why mix it with?
Well, here's where we're getting there. So we also have the two 1 terabyte Seagate Barracuda SSDs that are actually interchangeable. It's a quick swap, which is really cool. But yeah, the most important feature of that is it has a chicken warmer. All of that chicken warmer aside, those are some specs. That doesn't scream, at least to me, console.
No.
That screams to me that this is going to be a computer. And I'm sorry, but if this is not a console, don't call it that. I know the C makes sense, blah, blah, blah. But if this is a computer and it's running Windows 10 or Linux, and that's all that it's doing is just a computer with the fancy case, it's not a console. You don't get to call it that. But if this is a console, comes with a controller, it has a console-esque UI, if it is an actual console, it won the console wars.
It literally won a console wars. That's a better processor and CPU than the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X all together. That's these specs that we're getting is all computer based, and I'm just like, okay, what's the mouse and keyboard? Are they still series but sponsored by, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is what? You know what I'm saying? Like, does it come with the, what's the chair? A Secret Labs chair too? Like, is it a bundle deal?
I just want to know how much it's gonna be, and if they're gonna have options like that. KFC has really stepped into the gaming community. I
give two shits about how much that damn thing is gonna be. I want to know who the hell's gonna buy it.
I would. You give me.
I want to know.
KFC.
You know what? I tell you what. If you buy it, I will personally send you a gift card for you to get some chicken to put in your warmer.
Fantastic. I will take you up on that. And if ever I have the money to do that, please know that is likely not what I'm spending my money on. Anywho, all right. Noted. We are on we're at the holidays. This is 2 days out. 2 days out from
2 days out from Christmas, man.
We got Yule, the winter solstice just happened, so a lot going on all together. We don't get to visit family, which is rough, but it doesn't mean that it's not a busy time of year. So, what is one game that you have wanted to play this holiday, but have not been able to play just because you're just crazy busy? All the other games that have come out. One game that you've wanted to play there, Jay.
For me, there's one, maybe two games.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, it has to do a lot with me having to pay my bills. It's all a bill thing for the holiday season. I really don't get a break, and I'm lucky to have the games that I have. But one game I do definitely want to play more of, since it is actually free for the next 19 hours for me, would be Call of Duty Cold War. Mostly because the integration into Warzone. I play Warzone on the weekends with my friends. Shout out to my friend, my Chasm teammates, a couple friends that I grew up with, and their brother-in-law. Shout out to them, the twins and Billy. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, by the way, because they've been actually watching the show. And
thank you.
I thoroughly want to get better at playing the game, but I also want to be able to upgrade the weapons the way I see fit. And the only way for me to do that and try to keep up with everyone else instead of using all the Modern Warfare weapons is to also integrate Modern Warfare weapons along with Black Ops weapons, Cold War weapons. So if I can use Modern Warfare, here, and then say use a handgun here from Black Ops, then that would be ideal. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
It kind of how should I say this? I want to mash up the meta if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go with the meta on the weapons and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
I kind of want to go against it, and it kind of refers back to a YouTuber that I watch who plays a lot of Destiny. His name is Destiny Fun Police, Sheik, and he says that when everyone's doing the meta, he deliberately goes against the meta because he doesn't want to be on a bandwagon with everyone else. And I can't blame him for that. And in a sense, I'm in the same way. And it took me a minute when he said that this week for me to actually sit there and be like, you know what? That's absolutely right. Like, I don't want to play like everybody else. I don't want to do everything like everybody else. Forget that. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather try doing things outside the meta, because even though everyone's playing in the meta, there might be something a little bit better outside the meta. You just gotta find it.
Absolutely. So what's your other game? What you said two? What's your other game?
My other game that I wanted to play is actually a game that you're playing, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yes. It is a fun game. It's broken as can be. So I'm gonna give you all an update as to where I'm at with this game here. Real
Sounds
quick.
like Cold War, but you know.
Okay, so I have East Anglia. I have completed every challenge set in East Anglia. Done. Oswald's sitting on the throne. I've completed the festivities. Beautiful. I went back to town. I did the there's a little argument. You got a scuffle. I did that. I thought I had reported. Turns out I hadn't reported. It's all the same sequence, so I don't know how it didn't report, but it didn't report. Anyway, I left, went played some other things. East Anglia will not report now. It doesn't matter what I do. East Anglia will not report. I cannot do it. I cannot continue the story. At this point, I've done every other challenge set in front of me. Actually, I did just unlock Jotunheim, but I'm pretty sure I'm playing this story so far out of order at this point because I can't close East Anglia that it's broken. It's broken. So there's my complaint. That's where I'm at with this game.
Now, have you heard anything from Univision on that? I mean, not Univision.
Yeah. So I actually did message Ubisoft and let them know what was going on, and I told them, yo, I got 95 hours in this game because I had 95 at that time. I'm now at 105. I was at 95 hours at that point in time, and they said the only way to resolve that is to reset my game. Now, please keep in mind, East Anglia is a level 55 suggested power, which means it's pretty early on, not super early. At 95 hours, I was sitting at about level 250. So I'm not resetting all the way back. I might just be screwed. I don't think I'm going to actually get through the story. I think I'm going to have to restart the entire thing because if I'm going to have to go back that far, I'm restarting the entire game and choosing some other options.
See, that's a damn shame.
Borked. But that actually does segue really, really well because when it comes to games that aren't borked at release, we got Ghost of Tsushima.
That is very true.
So, developed by Sucker Punch Productions, released by Sony Interactive just for the PlayStation 4. It was released on July 17th. Third-person stealth action game. You've had a chance now. I know you haven't had a chance to play the game, but you've had a chance to see it played. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. I did get a chance to see it played. My best friend.
How far into the game did you get?
I could only stay for like a couple of hours, so I was able to actually see him play. You know, like a good hour and a half into the game. And
did you pick up at the beginning of the game or in the middle? Just so we know what we're looking at.
It's kind of in the middle where he was at. It was, or like the beginning, moving toward the middle.
Okay. So go ahead. What's your opinion? What do you think?
I gotta tell you, man, that is one sexy looking game. Oh man, I have never. I mean, like I said last week, the only when we were talking about the Game Awards, the only other game I've seen look as sexy as that when it dropped. Excuse me, I drinking a lot. Would be Metal Gear Solid 4 when it came out on PlayStation 4, with how clean and crisp the graphics were, the very low loading times. I felt like Sucker Punch took a page out of Kojima's book and said, "This is how we're gonna load the game." So yeah, there might be like that long wait load time, but throughout everything, there is no loading whatsoever. And even though, yeah, it took up a lot of space for the time, but it was still good. You know what I mean? Like, it was still beautiful. And when you're looking at the cherry blossom trees, when you're looking at the horse riding, when you're looking at the gameplay, how good does the controller feel in your hands while you're doing certain actions? I'm looking, like, I specifically observed how my best friend was playing this game. Okay. And all I could say was, damn, he looks so at peace because, you know, and like, I'm a big fan of anything Asian or Japanese, and I love cherry blossoms. I love katanas. I love, you know, sushi. You know, Japanese culture in general is something intriguing to me, and I really enjoy looking at it and reading more into some of the stuff. I felt like Sucker Punch really did their homework on this game in the Asian culture, or you know, whatever you want to call it, and they nailed this game straight down to the T. I didn't see very many ray tracing problems. I'm sure the game does have its fair share of issues. I'm sure, but to be completely honest, I haven't heard not one that was super major. You know, I haven't heard of like something like you know how they mentioned how bad Andromeda for Mass Effect was broken.
Ooh, I forgot about Andromeda. When I guess when it comes to hype to failure ratio, I'm putting Andromeda on. I completely forgot.
Exactly.
Good call out.
You know what I mean? Fantastic. Like, I mean, when you think about it, it didn't have, you know, kind of like what Cyberpunk 2077 had, or, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, another game to add to that list would be Horizon Zero Dawn. You know what I mean? Like, the graphics in that game are just as beautiful as Ghost of Tsushima. You know what I'm saying? Two completely different timelines. You have one in like, well, I don't really know, but I'm just gonna go off and say, like, say the Edo period, and then you have one that is definitely futuristic. You know what I'm saying? Like, the world has ended, and you know, if you watch Crunchyroll Doctor Stone, the anime on there, like, you get turned to stone, you come back, and the world is shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of thing that, you know, I get from the graphics and the ray tracing, and then also you know, you can actually throw the previous God of War in that category as well, because you when you think about it, when you look at God of War 1 to where God of War is now, you see how beautiful,
massive jump,
a massive jump in graphics, ray tracing, coloration, gameplay, how the evolution of God of War is, how the evolution of Horizon Zero Dawn is. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Sucker Punch decides they want to come out with a Ghost of Tsushima 2, but set in a different time period.
I would love something along those. If I don't necessarily want to say that I want them to pull a full Assassin's Creed where they go through the different regions, but if we could get a progression of all the different, you know, say it is the Japanese cultures, just moving its way up, if they want to stick with that route, or if they wanted to move to different regions, this game is so gorgeous. Okay, let me take a step back when it comes to comparing this to, say, Assassin's Creed for a second. All right, I mean, that's what I think I'm going to do, because I think what a lot of games do is they fall into this trap of, look how gorgeous this world is. If you're looking at this from a distance, it's the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But up close, the small minor things, the gameplay, whether it be the like shielding in Valhalla is so hard. It feels mistimed at times. Like, even though you're hitting the button, it's just not responding. Whatever it is, they forget about those up close personal interactions because they're so focused on making this world so big and expansive and gorgeous. And I feel like Ghost didn't do that. They didn't fall into this trap. They didn't. The whole interaction, from the combat to just walking to interacting, it's seamless, it's flawless, it's gorgeous across the game. So I think that that's one thing that they did really well, especially in comparison to these other games. And I'm really glad that if you look at them, even this game was pushed back. It was actually originally supposed to be released June 26th.
I was about to say the 26th of June. I remember that.
So it got almost a month's delay, mostly COVID stuff, but this is what I expect. If your game is going to be released late, and I'm so glad that Halo brought that up this week as well. If your game is going to be released late, make it worth it. And Ghost of Tsushima, I apologize. With my mouth, it makes things difficult to say that.
It's happening to everybody, brother.
Yeah. Very aware of what's going on in my dentures. Nonetheless, we're looking at this is the gold standard for me at this point in time when it comes to, if you're going to release this, let's do it. Couple things, and just to play into kind of what you were mentioning there. So making things feel realistic and feel real, right? So the game director Nate Fox actually said that so he said, this is a game that is entirely grounded in reality. We're trying hard to transport people to 1274 Japan. So in keeping with this mentality, and quote, sorry, whatever. So in keeping with this mentality, what they did, they actually brought in cultural experts, people that had studied the culture of the time, the current culture, whatever else. So not only are they making it as gorgeous as they can, they're making it accurate to the time period, and they went out of their way to make sure that there was no, and I'm going to use the term appropriation. They were very conscious with their decisions in making this game and making sure that there was nothing offensive in the game, and that they were honoring Japanese culture instead of the other. And so because of that, all of the entire island of Tsushima is pretty accurate. You can actually find real world locations in the game. All because of this. So just wanted to play. Yeah, so go ahead, sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you. I said that's absolutely correct.
It's fun. I'm glad that they were able to bring that in, and it really showed. So although they didn't get Game of the Year, they did win Player's Voice. So kind of your players agreed that it's the best game out there, I suppose. But it also won Best Art Direction because of how gorgeous it actually is and how accurate it is, and really the amount of attention they paid to the detail to make sure it was accurate. So wonderful job.
Apparently my son wants to commit suicide.
That's all right. He just wants to join. You can never too young.
Say hi. Everybody, this is my son Luther. Luther, say hi to the world. Say hi, Luther. Man. He makes a special appearance on Gaggle of Geeks. He also makes a special appearance on button mashing. So why not?
Gaming is not just for. There's no age limit on gaming, and gaming doesn't necessarily, especially when you're that age, mean video games. I mean, you gotta have some fun nonetheless, So
true.
Bring them on, yeah, absolutely. We love kids around here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. Dog included. I moved my camera. Also, I'm noticing here. I thought I had it fixed, but apparently I don't. I'm very whitewashed today. I'm trying a new setup. I got a new background for y'all. I'm trying to make.
Hey, I like it. I was about to say I noticed something was a little bit different.
And it's whitewashing me flushing me. That's the term I'm using. I'm like flushing me very heavily, and I'm not a fan of that. So we'll get that corrected next time.
It's crazy you mentioned the new setup, because I kind of set up my desk a little bit differently. I took my backdrop down from my desk, and I now have a dual monitor setup. So right now, not only am I watching us, here, but I also have us on Facebook for comments and stuff like that. So I can be, we can be interactive with our crowd. So if you guys ever join us, please, by all means, if you guys want to jump in and comment or anything like that, I am always looking at the chat. I do the same exact thing when we're doing Gaggle of Geeks with Patrick and and stuff like that. So I just want everyone to feel comfortable as they're coming into the stream and stuff like that. And also I want to give a very Merry Christmas to my boy Deontay. He started watching the show last week because he didn't know that I was doing this, and he said that we were doing really great, and he was giving me words of encouragement and stuff like that going forward into the show. And I just want to let him know that I'm always thinking about him, and he's definitely a brother of mine, and I always look out for him, and he's always looking out for me. And I just want to let him know that this holiday season, someone is thinking about him, and I'm always here for him. And thank you for tuning in to the show. He was the one who came out with the phrase that success don't rest. And that's the first time I heard that, and I heard that from him. So I try to preach that now to whoever needs to hear it. So big shout out to him.
I love it. Yeah, great shout out. We love having every single one of you. I can see how many people are watching, but I don't get to see who. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, if you have something to add, we try to be as interactive as we possibly can. But definitely want your input. We want to hear from you guys. So put a comment no matter where you're at. We can see them all. We got Facebook, we got Twitch, we got YouTube. Any and all of them. Please leave us a comment. We'll try to wrap things up here. We're hitting our limit. So just one last thing with Ghost of Tsushima, Legends. So in August of 2020, they announced Legends, which is the multiplayer of the game. Came free to anybody that already had the game. Released October of 2020.
Dropped on my birthday.
So we have a few game modes. You ultimately get to choose one of 4 classes. There's 3 game modes that I could find. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to play the multiplayer, but you have 2-player story missions that you can play. You have a 4-player wave-based mission. So it sounds, I would think like similar to Gears of War Horde, I suppose, is kind of when I think wave-based. But that's me. And then you have Raid, which I was hoping to get Scott. So we originally had Scott Doodles, for those of you that have watched before. We're hoping to get Doodly onto the show. However, some things came up. He wasn't able to. He's the one that spent the most time in the game, and he's the one that I wanted to kind of ask about the multiplayer side of things. So I wish I had more information on what the Raid is, but multiplayer sounds so much fun. I would love to be able to get in there.
There are actually 2 games that I do plan to get. One of them is Ghost of Tsushima. The other one is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. When I do initially get the game, I do plan to do like a little review for it. In worst case scenario, we can talk about that later. But just to let everyone know, I do plan to get the game. I do plan to play the game. Like I said, holidays is here. Bills is piling. You want to make sure you get before you do anything pleasure and play. So
COVID and everything going on this year, man. No one can blame you if you can't get every game. Now we have Anthony asking, is the game Ghost of Tsushima on PC? It is not, unfortunately. It is a PS4 exclusive. The game was actually not developed, excuse me. It was distributed by Sony Entertainment. So they've decided to keep everything in-house and keep it on the PlayStations. And I say PS4 exclusive, I suppose PS5 now as well. They're allowing kind of some of that merging. So
right. I wish that they would just come out with 2 versions of the game, kind of like how Activision did with Call of Duty, having the cross-gen reintegration, when you have, PlayStation 4, but when you get your PS5, you don't have to pay twice for the game, just to play it on your PS5. And honestly, I think Ghost of Tsushima is so good enough that it should actually be on PC. And honestly, I think the game is so well endowed that I think it should expand into even that of Xbox's territory.
I would love to see that. I mean, it would make a lot of sense. Xbox is being a little more open about not only what they bring on themselves, but what they're distributing and where they're distributing it. If Sony ever wants to play ball, I don't doubt that Xbox would be open to picking up games like that. I don't see it happening with PlayStation wanting to be so in-house with everything. They're holding everything very close to the chest, vest. I don't know the actual turn of phrase there, but they're holding everything very close, and I would
close to the vest
that way. Is it vest? I don't know.
Yeah.
Vest, whatever it is. But yeah, I would love to see more of it. I'm hoping that they do get more expansive with it. You know, if they do decide to go into other worlds or whatever else, more games, more regions, more whatever, anything really. I'll take other cultures if you want to do it, but it was flawless, and I think that Assassin's Creed could have
it could have
learned
done,
and
yeah.
it taken from them. Or I guess they released pretty close to the same time, so how do you really learn from it? But
Right.
yeah.
And you know, and no disrespect, but Assassin's Creed, it's definitely good, but it is definitely one of those long games, kind of like how The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you know what? That's something that I can appreciate out of a great game.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to come across a game like Assassin's Creed, where you can actually have a game that you know won't take like 2 or 3 days to beat. You have a game that's going to take you like 6 months to a year to beat.
Yeah,
I have not
always have something to do.
And I haven't heard of anyone who's beat the game yet. And it reminds me a lot of Elder Scrolls Online. If you've ever played that, or if anyone's ever played that, where the game is constantly going. There's no end point to this game. It's like Star Trek Online. There's so many games out there that are constantly still going and upgrading and stuff like that it's impossible to beat. And that's one of those games that I wish Bungie would take notice of with Destiny 2, instead of making a storyline that can be done within I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah, and you have to think of the long term. I mean, yes, you're putting out content regular. I mean, I guess we're kind of segueing over to Destiny 2 now, but you can put out content all you want, but having a lot of content and having quality content is very different. So it shows, or games like this where you have that quality content continuing is great.
Right, and you know what, Ghost of Tsushima reminds me a lot of how the first Marvel Spider-Man came out when it came out on PS4, and how great the graphics were on that, and how Insomniac did such a great job. And you know what? That was one of those games that you didn't even know was coming out until like 2 months before it was gonna drop.
Yeah, they did that with Miles Morales as well, where it's like, hey, this game exists. You kind of have a hint as to what's, but like, yeah, it's the original Spider-Man and Miles Morales. They both just kind of dropped them on you, and there was no hype to them. There was nothing, but they were like wonderful.
And talk about sucker punch, because that's exactly what that was. You know, that was that sucker punch to your jaw. So you know what I mean? Like, it's so great to see that developers who are actually taking their time with the game and surprising everybody on future content drops, or like Ghost of Tsushima, for example. That drop was completely free. Free. Who, like, any other developer will say, like EA Sports, or not EA Sports, but like EA in general, Electronic Arts, or say Activision, would just drop like a loot system in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we have this expansion here, but it's going to cost you. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I could understand, like, say, if it was a $30 expansion, which technically, the way I look at this, for Ghost of Tsushima, it is. And I'm trying to wrap it up because I know we're running out of time. But,
we'll kind of wrap up here.
I see where it's going with the whole pay to play type deal. And my son definitely wants to lose his life if he touches my TV again. But you know,
another TV.
Yeah, I know, not another one. But still, you know, I totally get it, and I wish, and I totally wish that other developers, other companies, other, you know, gaming communities and our platforms follow the example set by games like Ghost of Tsushima, where you paid all this money for a game, but you know what? Let's just say, since everyone's enjoying the game so much, why don't we just drop this content for free? You know what I'm saying? Why don't we do something where, for once in your life, the developers have the control and say, you know what? This is meant for everybody.
Yeah, not just the people that want to.
And people,
because
they're
have bills to pay, but
right.
So do I. You know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, why don't we already made the money off the game?
Mm-hmm.
We've already paid whatever it needs to be paid, and the game is still selling to this day. So why don't we just give it away? It reminds me of that scene from Tron Legacy, right in the very beginning. We'll just say it was a prank.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and on that note, I think we should end.
Yeah, let's go ahead. So a couple things before we go. So next week we will not be having a show. We are going to be taking a bit of a holiday break. Spend some time with your family, your loved ones. We talk video games, play video games a lot. It's time for some family time. So no show next week, but we will be picking it up into the new year. We're hoping to see you guys then. Please swing by. Jay, where can our guests find you today? Where
you can find me everything right there in my name.
Perfect. I'm Nateslegend. You can catch me. I'm going to try to be streaming a little bit more here on Twitch. I've been terrible. I've been playing exclusively Assassin's Creed Valhalla lately, and that's just not fun because I just wander the map. So, anywho, I'll try to stream a little bit more. We got at Nateslegend on Twitter and Twitch. Huge shout out to Patrick Beatty.
Yeah.
At Pat B Reviews. Follow him at Gaggle of Geeks. PatrickBeattyReviews.com. Make sure to reach out. Patrick is fantastic. He's the one that made all of this possible.
Thank you, Patrick. And also shout out to Chaz Campbell Evans over Underexposed, his co-host. Make sure you guys check that out too.
Yes, absolutely. That is our show. Thank you all so much for joining, and just keep on gaming.